What's up, permaculture people? This is the Dirt Goat in Belfast, Maine. I'm here at a new free public community garden in East Belfast. And what we're looking at right now is a little Three Sisters bed. Got a bunch of corn and some fancy pumpkins that are more squash-like than pumpkin-like. I can't remember what they're called, but they're some heirloom variety. And it's part of this larger sheet mulched food forest veggie garden. I'm going to turn this way, maybe we'll get everything in better. But yeah, we got a large variety of fruit trees, nut shrubs, berry bushes, berry canes, vegetables, herbs, and I'm just going to walk you through it real quick. So this was a lawn that very clay soil, didn't grow grass very well. The homeowner didn't really like mowing it and wanted a low maintenance garden, so I decided to suggest a food forest with lots of veggies that are on the lower maintenance side. And in keeping with the trend that's been happening over the years here, this is the third free public community style garden. I suggested she kind of continue with that movement of the yard farm connection. So she was into that idea, and this was the first phase. The plan is to eventually go to the end of the house over there, so another third basically of this size that we're looking at right now. I think it took maybe 6 trailer loads of wood chips, which is about 3 or 4 yards a piece, and maybe 6 yards of compost, and some stakes here, some reused tomato stakes from other gardens in the past. But basically, as the structure of the food forest goes, there's 2 apple trees, 2 pears, 2 plums. There were supposed to be peaches, but I couldn't find any. And then there's, I think, 7 hazelnuts, 8 blueberries, and there's going to be 8 elderberries once I make propagate some cuttings into some plants later on. But down the middle here of all these little circles, I decided to just do circle beds because I did those for the trees and shrubs, and that sort of created the pattern whereby more circles just kind of fit in the spaces between the existing ones. So it's kind of a staggered diamond-shaped polka dot garden. The blueberries, you can't really see that well. They're on the periphery. They don't have the beds around them. They just have sheet mulch right up to them, so it's kind of hard to see, but there's blueberry bushes along the edge on both sides, as well as hazelnuts. And then everything with compost around it is either an apple tree, tomato on these stakes here, or is going to, well, the tomatoes with the stakes are going to be elderberries once I stick those in with them. So I'll just walk through real quick and show you a little bit what's going on. So we got the tomato on the stake here getting tied up. I'm going to tie them up and prune them as they go to maximize fruit production and also make tomato clones that I can plant later and hopefully get a late harvest. But you can see some peppers, lettuce. I guess that's all this one has is peppers and lettuce with the tomato. This one here's got some garlic clumps from bulbils. I let some garlics go to seed and then they drop clumps of bulbils on the ground, so they're kind of all over my property, so I just transplant those to add to this little tree guild as a sort of animal deterrent. They don't like the strong smell of garlic. There's also a catmint right there which does the same thing. It's a couple catmints in here. Aromatic, pest deterrent, and I put lettuces around all these beds because they don't mind the shade that's going to occur when these other plants grow up. This one's got a couple eggplants in it. Here's another tomato with peppers and lettuce. Here's some of those strawberries that came from another public free garden downtown. They were growing into the paths. This cool thing about strawberries is they wander, they run, and once they get out of the area that you want them in, you can just dig them up and transplant them and start the process over. So here's some more peppers, eggplants, garlic clumps, lettuce, catmint, more strawberries. So yeah, that pattern kind of just repeats. You can see maybe over here. Here's an example of hazelnut and blueberry with some native weedy plants already growing up. Cool thing about sheet mulching everything just flat at first and then raking spots away to create beds is wherever you rake away to expose the cardboard again, you just make the areas around thicker in mulch. So some of these spots are like 8 inches thick in mulch, some are more like 6, but should be mostly weed free for quite a while. These ones are sticking up in the cracks that inevitably occur in the cardboard. Sometimes when you're overlapping, you dump compost on the cardboard, it things shift around and the grasses and weeds find their way through, but makes it easy to weed. The vast majority will be pretty solid. You can see on the edge of this grass poking up because it's kind of hard to get the cardboard completely over it up against those railroad ties on the driveway. But at least it's not mowing. It'll be some strategic weeding and ground cover establishment over the next few years. As these wood chips break down, the grass and weeds and other plants will start to emerge, and as the wood chips break down, though, you can start seeding things like clover, introducing other ground covers that are more desirable, breaking up. There's chives in here. You can spread those out more, spread some of these garlic clumps, the strawberries will spread. So it's basically a race for colonizing the wood chips as they break down into compost between weeds and desirable ground covers. So it'll just take a little bit of maintenance until this whole thing is green again, but not grass. It'll be, desirable ground covers with all the trees and shrubs growing up. And here's some of these twice bearing raspberries that came from my property. They're really good. Make nice big juicy raspberries twice a year. Some of them look a little in shock. I just planted all this stuff yesterday and then watered it, and then it after being warm for a while, it's about 45 degrees right now, so it's like the very end of May and we're getting a little tiny cold spell. Fortunately, I don't think it's going to get to freezing and kill any of these plants, but it is a little shock. So some of them obviously still looking droopy because they just went in the ground yesterday, but you can see the continuation of this staggered polka dot diamond kind of bed layout. Makes for, fairly big pathways most of the time. Some of them pinch down to maybe a foot or foot and a half. For the most part, you get 3, 4, 5 plus feet to walk around and push a wheelbarrow. It's really not crowded at all. It's definitely not the most efficient bed to path ratio, but for ease of movement and for aesthetics, it's pretty nice. And then this is where we're going to continue next year. I ran out of, like I said, I didn't have any pear trees, so I ran out of food forest architecture over here, but there are 3 hazelnuts. I'm going to continue that pattern and add a couple more. Nothing big, so we're right by the house. I don't want to shade it, so it'll probably just be shrubs over here, but continue the polka dot staggered diamond pattern and keep planting veggies and herbs and flowers and whatnot. So that'll be next year. But this is it for now. So you're just looking back at the whole thing. There's 20 beds, including all the little polka dot circles and the long raspberry bed, and it's going to be a ton of food. Perennial, annual, self-seeding, spreading, slowly over the years, colonizing this, what was once a lawn, is going to be food forest, veggie production for several years until the trees grow up. It'll probably be a decade of veggie growing before it's too shady to grow a lot of veggies, but you can still grow herbs and greens and things that don't need as much sun. So yeah, it's just another example of turning lawns into gardens with simple sheet mulch, just cardboard, plaster the whole thing in wood chips, and then rake away where you want beds to be in whatever shape, whatever configuration, whatever pattern you want to be. I did dig in all the trees, so I did dig holes for those. So that's actually where the weeds are coming through, because I disturbed the soil and made like little bumps where I inverted the sod. But for the most part, this method's really good if you have a good source of quality compost and wood chips. The wood chips are free, the compost is pretty inexpensive. So as long as you have a lot of material and the free cardboard, obviously. You can do this kind of thing. Could do it with work parties. I never found any time on weekends for myself to organize a work party, so I did this all myself. But it was done in around 30 hours, so not really that much time, and maybe $400 in plants, including the time for me to, you know, get my plants here. These are all extra seedlings from my greenhouse, and I bought all the trees and shrubs from North Branch Farm in Monroe, but everything else is either from my house or from previous clients' houses. So yeah, there's abundance to share. There's plants everywhere. You can propagate lots of plants and turn all these goofy lawns into food-producing habitats, environments to share with your neighbors. So that's the story for today. Keep it up. I'll make another video every once in a blue moon. It's probably been a year or more, but you know, keep coming back. If you see this coming up on your YouTube or whatever, come check it out. I only upload when I feel like it's worth talking about something cool, showing something cool. So keep doing the thing. All right, peace out.